This is, in effect, the White House in waiting. And inside and entirely out of view, Donald Trump is forming his new administration. One key figure in this process is this former general and intelligence chief, Mike Flynn, who was fired 2 years ago by President Obama.
It's going really well. I mean, it's a great transition, and the president-elect is in full control, believe me.
Flynn may become the new national security advisor, alarming for Europe because he is seen as an arch hawk on the Middle East and has shown quiet admiration for President Putin, who he sat next to at a Moscow dinner, calling him savvy and smart. It has forced President Obama, who was today in Berlin on his last overseas trip, to fire his first salvo over the bow of Donald Trump, urging him to stand up to Moscow and not do a deal on Syria or Ukraine.
But my hope is that he does not simply take a realpolitik approach and suggest that, if we just cut some deals with Russia, even if it hurts people, or even if it violates international norms, or even if it leaves smaller countries vulnerable, or creates long-term problems in regions like Syria, that we just do whatever is convenient at the time.
I think it would be great if we got along with Russia.
This is what NATO countries fear most, that under Trump, a significant accommodation of Russia is possible. In an interview this summer, Trump overlooked Putin's military involvement in Ukraine.
He's not going into Ukraine, okay? Just so you understand. He's not going to go into Ukraine.
And he appeared sympathetic to the Russian annexation of Crimea.
But the people of Crimea, from what I've heard, would rather be with Russia than where they were.
But Syria is the critical test. And as Russian forces were again today striking anti-regime targets, it appears likely that a Trump administration will join Moscow in backing President Assad. A radical shift in US policy, essentially abandoning moderate rebels.
I think that Trump's definitely going to work with Putin in Syria. He's going to drop all of the stuff about regime change and getting rid of Assad, focus on terrorism, on Islamic State and all of that.
As Trump forms his administration, what all this underlines is how little we know about where American policy is going with regard to Russia and the Middle East. A startling uncertainty as this transition continues to confuse and to confound.